Hello class, this is my discussion board 3. So Edwards and his contemporaries played a big part in the spiritual revival. In the town of Northampton, Edwards was a driving force for this. In the copy of a Covenant Church and Pastoral Documents, the words of Jonathan Edwards, it explains how he preached the word of God to the people. They ended up forming a covenant where the people promised to follow God and hold each other accountable. There was a part that specified that people in power would not go for personal gain, which I thought was an important point to point out. This was something that was important. Edwards' preaching and works is what brought this covenant together. Edwards did more than just in Northampton, though. He did it in many other places. When he was giving his famous sermon, Sinners of the Hands of an Angry God, he preached this in Enfield, Connecticut. This was so moving and descriptive is really what made it such a driving force for the spiritual revival. There was a point in the sermon where Edward relates God casting us down to hell as easy as us squashing a worm. And this type of visual is really what made the wrath of God come to life and what aided in the spiritual revival. Another great man of this time was George Whitefield, and in the book George Whitefield's American Spiritual Founding Fathers, it explains his journey around America. He ended up becoming friends with Benjamin Franklin. Franklin at the time was a printer, and despite his lack of faith, he was a fan of Whitefield's work. Franklin ended up publishing a lot of the work in his print shop that went all over the country. This is how Whitefield really had an impact in the revival, because his work was getting out there, and thanks to Franklin. Now, in the book Inventing George Whitefield, Race, Revival, and the Making of a Religious Icon, it is said that the New England clergy recognizes that Whitefield was a positive component to the revival. His ornate way of spreading the word of God was not going unnoticed, and his work preaching around America really did fuel the spiritual revival. So these are two people of this time who definitely had an impact in this, and there are so many others as well.